5 creative players who are all on the same page. You're not going to get another combination like this.
Europe kneels to its champion. Champions can fall, gods can bleed. Where were you when the West rose up to conquer champions? G2 Esports eliminates SK Telecom.
This is what peak League of Legends looks like, and it comes from Europe.
MSI rematch versus SKT, the last of the LCK versus the last of the LEC.
It's the greatest team of all time opposite the hometown heroes with the eyes locked on the Grand Slam.
But I'm terrified of SKT. They have a pedigree and ability to just turn it on at a moment's notice.
And with a team fight win, SKT are going to equalize the series.
And the SKT players making these mistakes on stage, they're the ones feeling the pressure, and G2 are making them feel that way.
And just like that, in an instant, the series is defined as G2 move to match point.
It has to be Yasuo. Surely it's the Yasuo.
That's going to be the ulti now coming out. The wind wall can't immediately follow, but Perkz might just get bodied down.
Perkz is struggling to have an impact in this game.
Mistiming, misexecution from G2 causes him his life. That's the shutdown.
This G2 Esports team was not built to win. It was built to conquer. And you can hear the crowd rallying behind G2.
Perkz is coming in. This is his hero moment. If he wants to turn this fight in favor of team, this could be the game.
He gets the knockout.
But he's just walking into the meat grinder of Perkz. Con, can he do it? They've done enough. They've done it.
When history is on the line, it's impossible to know which player will answer the call to make the play that changes everything. And the best teams can count on any one of their stars to step up when it counts. G2 Esports was that kind of team. And in 2019, they had a habit of shattering expectations. By adding Mickey and Caps to the roster and switching Perkz to ADC, the European squad was a legitimate super team on home soil.
Origin are crumbling to G2. Europe kneels to its champion, G2 Esports. The world awaits G2.
Their spring split dominance had shown that the new team could work. Perkz and Caps, 2 of the finest stars European League had ever produced, could play side by side. Key to their success was their ability to play picks in unusual roles, making their draft far harder to counter than a typical team. But even in the international arena, G2 were a force to be reckoned with. At MSI 2019, the team shocked the League of Legends world by taking out SKT T1 in both the group and bracket stage before winning the whole thing.
Where were you when the West rose up to conquer champions? G2 Esports eliminates SK Telecom.
But even after they won both MSI and the LEC Summer Split, European fans had a right to be wary of a potential Worlds result. While it truly felt like this 2019 G2 Esports roster was not a fluke, it was still hard to believe that they could win it all. Europe hadn't won Worlds since 2011, but G2 were redefining what League could be, and their opponents were nowhere near ready. G2 went 5-1 in groups, dropping only a single game to LCK's second seed Griffin before triumphing over Damwon in the quarterfinals.
G2 will move on to the semifinals for the MSI rematch versus SKT.
G2 was now headed for a confrontation with SK Telecom T1 and Faker in Worlds semifinals. Europe was still hesitant to hope for much, but G2's incredible year stood in stark opposition to those doubts. SKT T1 were a powerhouse, and their new incarnation doubled down on star power. But G2 had beaten them in 5 games at MSI. If there was ever a time to believe, it was now. Early in the series, G2 rewarded the hopes of their fans. In Game 1, Perkz' Xayah and Caps' Rise were key to their 34-minute victory. The 2 players combined for nearly 2/3 of the team's damage. SKT struck back in Game 2, with Khan's Renekton and Teddy's Yasuo trampling all opposition, and Faker playing his signature LeBlanc.
Sleeping in, will they re-engage? He gets the shutdown, and now they're in the Cataclysm, but Khan is into the backside, and Perkz gets cut down. The sweeping blade from Teddy. Yet another knockup. Wonder wants to turn this one. Wants to find the knockups back onto Khan, but it is not monstrous performance from Teddy. This is the Yasuo dream. No one can lock him down as Khan, Teddy, and Clid tear through G2 Esports. Goodbye to Mickey. Goodbye to Wonder. That will be the ace for SKT.
Game 3 was the Perkz show once more as his Xayah popped off, slamming the door shut on SKT.
We'll turn this around. Teddy can turn this. Teddy can turn this. No, he gets taken out. And just like that, in an instant, the series is defined as G2 move to match point.
Europe's faith wasn't misplaced, but there was still work to be done. They had to win one more game. So far, G2's ability to improvise and play anything had exposed T1's potential vulnerability. Though their roster was packed with talent, they weren't always playing coherently.
Look at the minimap right now. Your entire team is playing bot side. How are you overextending as a world-class top laner and throw away your lead? Wonder and Jankos gets back in this game. They had no business getting back in this.
Then, before the draft got underway, T1 made a lineup change ahead of a pivotal Game 4.
There is a big piece of news, though, coming out of the SKT camp with no games to give, rather. Effort will be subbed out, and Mata is coming back in.
Mata has 48 Worlds games. The experience, the pressure that is being put onto the stage right now in a European crowd as well is what SKT is hoping to get from Mata.
The draft saw G2 do something surprising. They took Gragas and passed up Qiyana, who was considered an overpowered pick. That gave T1 the option to steal away Yasuo, a power pick for both teams. But T1 opted for Varus, and G2 got the swordsman instead. Ultimately, the draft ended with the Europeans using multiple flex picks to keep SKT guessing. The Koreans' comp was far more suited to outright aggression, but if G2 could use their bulk and CC to find openings for Perkz and Jankos, they'd have a field day. The crowd nervously waited to see whether G2 could clinch the series and truly upend the narratives that had come to define the game at the international level. With these comps, the game wasn't going to be a fainting, macro-focused affair. Instead, the team started fighting almost immediately and didn't stop.
With the health difference, they're actually
going in. Teddy has to flash out to safety instantly. Halo Blade's doing so much work. Mickey now stepping forward. The ignite goes down. Perkz, the heal isn't enough. Yanko's coming over the wall. The Axe, first blood for G2.
From Syndra.
They want a match. That's gonna be big. Yanko's is just gonna get one shot. Perfect punish for Clid. Caps now moving in on Faker. Moving in on Caps rather. Con TP's down. This is a big turn for SKT. They will not just be run over.
And look at the roam from Faker. Yes, as I said on top. Wonder going for the all-in.
He thinks he has the all-in. He needs to go in on Con. If he's gonna kill him, he needs to kill him now. Con flashes back to safety. Faker not gonna connect on the ultimate. That's massive. Still though, the ignite's ticking down. Wonder will drop, but that could have been everything.
Giving Faker the overpowered Qiyana looked worse by the moment as his lead grew, and the game started to slide steadily in SKT's favor all over the map. G2 were running out of time to make a comeback, and life seemed to drain from the home crowd.
Those early items, you can be very potent. And
that's gonna be big damage. They don't have a wind wall to stop it. Easy pick off for the side of SKT.
Up 8-2, SKT were firmly in the driver's seat. Jankos had the only kills for G2, and picking the wrong fight could put the game out of reach. But team fighting was what G2 did best.
Forcing out the repel from Clid, but Perkz is there as well. Now Wonder's in the pinch. Caps is just getting cut down. The wind wall is not gonna mean a thing. Tries to buy a bit more time. Here comes Faker on the backside, but he's caught up by the Olaf. Mickey now coming in. Faker trying to go in and finish it off, but the stopwatches are there. But no, SKT still able to find this fight. The knockup coming through. Jankos runs for the hills, but it is not enough. Still, it's a back and forth fight. It's such a close fight. Cap manages to sidestep. Clid goes in, but the body step comes out. Another stopwatch. Are you kidding me? The knockup is there. The shutdown is there. A bloody fight in the mid lane.
G2 continued to pursue aggressive team fighting, and it was working. SKT seemed to be on the back foot, and the crowd roared to life as the kills and gold neared parity.
And you can hear the crowd rallying behind G2. Yes, the early game was a little bit shaky. They found some advantages, they conceded some. But this team is momentum-based. When they hear the roar of it, you can just see them performing at their absolute peak.
At 23 minutes, yet another aggressive mid lane play might have helped G2 gain a clear gold and kill advantage. But SKT traded 1 for 3, taking a decisive lead and putting them in position to start closing out the game. With that skirmish finished, SKT sought to secure Baron. The remaining members of G2 failed to do anything besides feed more gold to their opponents. With a 4k gold lead and Baron buff, SKT had a golden opportunity to force a game 5. Ending the game immediately was unlikely, but they could make a comeback very difficult. Faker, however, got caught as he was pushing top lane. The Baron buff got little initial value as SKT had to reset, but there was still some time left. SKT began sieging bot and mid lanes, threatening an inhibitor and causing another inevitable team fight.
Hook lands on a Wonder. Ulti's now going to come out. Khan still on the side. Khan still with ultimate up and available. Can't make his way into the back of this fight. Still, Mata goes forward. G2 is going to find one kill for now. The knock-up not quite there. Perkz going in the midst of the team. Desperately wants to kill Teddy, but it's not going to be enough. He's trying to dash through, but they're burning him down. In the meantime, the fight is going back and forth. Teddy! He's trying. This is his moment. He wants to get the kill. Can he get it done? Teddy! He buys more time, but he cannot secure the win.
G2 defended their inhibitors, giving them the ability to continue to play at their frenetic pace. And almost all their offense was coming through their jungler and mid. Perkz was at a miserable 1-5-4.
Perkz is struggling to have an impact in this game, but Caps and Jankos are doing such a great job.
But the respawned Baron meant that the battle would shift toward the top side of the map. And there, G2 yet again killed Faker early before also killing their first Baron of this series. The coordination seemed to vanish, and SKT's captain looked frustrated. Pushing with their own Baron buff now, G2 wanted to secure an inhibitor and really put SKT in a tough position. But Faker's flank found Perkz.
They're looking for Perkz.
Faker fishing for the flank. Windwall comes through. Perkz still alive right in the midst of the Windwall. Just needs to back up a little bit, trying to dash through. That's the knock-up. He could get the reset, but no. Mistiming, misexecution from G2 costs him his life. That's the shutdown.
Though they now had to pull back and defend without Perkz, G2 did secure bot inhibitor and had all of their own still standing. The question was whether they could defend their base 4v5 while they waited out Perkz' nearly minute-long respawn timer. SKT charged up the mid lane as G2 looked for an opening to catch a player unawares. They didn't find one and instead grabbed the dragon before recalling.
We've seen G2 win every single one of these fights, which means that if they can force a fight around this Elder, this time they should be able to win.
But the first inhibitor fell before G2's members could do anything. Wonder's Ornalt looked like it might help them isolate someone 4v5, but SKT were able to back away. At this point, SKT seemed worried about how stacked they were, and they had taken some damage. Faker was also notably without his flash. As SKT started to pull away, Caps missed his engage, but Clid used Elisa's repel, putting him in a terrible position. Clid was forced to flash, but he was still too close to G2. The Olaf axe again slowed him down, and he went gold. At this point, a few things were happening. Mickey and Wonder were deep, trying to secure the kill onto Clid once he became vulnerable again. However, 3 other SKT players were nearby and ready to open up on G2's tankiest champions. Meanwhile, Khan used ult, and he was 1v2 in mid lane against Caps and Jankos. And Perkz' Yasuo had just respawned, but he had to run nearly a third of the map to get into the fight. As Clid died, Teddy and Wonder faced off while Faker tore into Mickey. Mata tried to help Khan, who used his immunity to buy time, but Perkz' 1-6-6 Yasuo arrived at exactly the right moment, and Mickey, facing down the unkillable Demon King, threw an alley-oop to Uma John.
Winning, but Perkz is coming in. This is his hero moment. If he wants to turn this fight in favor of team, this could be the game.
He gets the
defining
knockout.
moment. Faker is gone. Teddy's next on the
Perkz cut apart an airborne Faker and set his eyes on his next target, Teddy, who had nearly killed Wonder. And Caps, without his ult or his flash, began teleporting into SKT's base to try to end. The Blast Cone entrance quickly forced Teddy to immune, and Wonder still died. But Perkz was at full health and in a target-rich environment. The fight snowballed in G2's favor as Perkz slayed Mata, Teddy, and Khan for the Quadra.
I'll see you in the base, Mike. Canna dead. I'll see you in the base. Yeah, I can stop the base. I'll see you. I'll stop Varus. I'll stop. Vladimir. No,
They can't do it! This is it! The greatest team in the history of League of Legends, taken down by the greatest team Europe has ever produced. FPX, get ready! G2 is heading to Paris!
Perkz got the perfect setup to turn a nightmare of a Yasuo game into an incredible moment worth remembering. G2 went blow for blow with the greatest organization in the world and made it to the grand finals, with Caps becoming the first European player to attend back-to-back world finals. And the Spanish crowd got to see the best ever finish for an organization founded by one of their own.
This G2 Esports team was not built to win, it was built to conquer.
The loss shook the SKT organization to its core, and the superstar experiment ended. The organization entered a new era where Faker reinvented himself as the veteran leader of a younger generation. G2 may not have won Worlds, but this win, this moment where a bottom-feeding bot lane Yasuo turned the tide, was what this roster was all about. 5 players who could just do anything and make the impossible real. This game changed history, and it all came down to a matter of seconds.
Or rather, Perkz pulls through, pulls off the Yasuo fight that they've been waiting for, wins the series for his team. And how can you not be happy if you're a G2 fan after a series like that?
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.